Well, last we spoke to Katie Goodman. She was about to board a flight out of San Antonio and head west to Los Angeles to get ready for her opportunity to be behind the scenes of Fox's coverage of this 2023 Women's World Cup. She'll start in Los Angeles, move on over to Australia and New Zealand to be a part of the production there behind the scenes live as well. Katie, how's it going?
Good. It's so great. I've seen a lot in a very short period of time, and I don't think I'll be able to watch a game on TV the same after being in the digital headquarters as the game was in progress. There's just so much going on behind the scenes. It's really, really cool. Even advertisements, you've got the whole crew cheering every time you see the Fritos intro to a segment or an ad or something, because oh, there's our sponsor. Okay, we got him in. All right, did we get a sponsor here? Did we tag him? Is it the right hashtag? There's just so much happening. I'm sitting there, and there's graphics being made, and then they appear on the screen, and it's so cool to just see it all happen in real time. And everyone in the office is really young. Actually, they're all my age or younger, and they're just going hard, man. It's a well-oiled machine that they have there, and just it's a lot of fun. Everyone keeps things lighthearted, lots of snacks and food, and there's bets going. There's quotes everywhere of some of the crazy things people have said, and it's a really, really fun environment there.
Well, I'm glad your flight got you there okay. I know you got in the day before, which was officially the first day of the Women's World Cup and all the great coverage. Just logistics for you. How was it getting over to the studio and just kind of getting settled in for what will be the chaos now for the next few weeks?
Yeah, it was actually tough because so the rental car that I got was through this app called Turo, which is pretty much Airbnb for cars. And so my game plan was to get there, touch up my makeup, and then get my rental car and go. But the rental car was like, "Hey, I'm here, and you need to come out to the car." And then so I get all my stuff as fast as I can. I get to the car, and he had to drive away from the airport to drop me off, and to get his car, and then I could take his car. And so, first time I'd ever done it. It's really great though. I love it. I'm driving a Mini Cooper right now. It's the cutest thing ever. Great for LA. It has a sunroof. So even aside from everything else I'm doing, I'm just like living in this Mini Cooper right now. So anyways, I actually ended up driving back to the airport so that I could plug my curling iron in and touch up my hair and do my makeup. And because I'm like, I'm looking real busted right now. I've been on this airplane for a couple hours. I was packing at the last minute, so I was sweating. And then right before I got on the plane, I knocked the crap out of my head on like the car door. I like broke a nail. It was chaos, okay? But I got there, I did it. So anyways, I go back, touch myself up, head straight to the studio, and it's gorgeous. The not the studio, but the actual headquarters, and it's the same building where Die Hard was filmed. That famous
Oh,
movie where
wow.
the helicopter was at the top. It was actually a toy helicopter that was in the movie, and they made it look like a real one, but it was actually a remote helicopter. So first time that had ever been done in a movie. But anyways, that was the same building. So go up there. It's a really cool office. They have the whole floor. They have a couple of floors in that building, and I mean, they have all, like I said, they have all the snacks you could ever want. There's just a lot going on, screens everywhere, air mattresses, because there's people who they stay there all night long, and it's a 24-hour situation. So there's someone's on all the time, or they're kind of cycling through stuff, and it's brutal right now. I think it's actually harder for the people here in America doing things because they have their life here, and they're there sometimes from 4 p.m. until 7 in the morning, and then they still have to get up and do some other things, right? But if you're there at the World Cup, you're just on the World Cup schedule. You sleep at night,
Yeah.
you get up and you cover or you handle the games in the morning, right? So yeah, no, they're really pushing it, and they're doing a great job, but all in such great spirits. I think there were multiple Starbucks orders ordered in one day. And the one day I was there, I think they ordered 3 rounds of Starbucks. It was great. But
And that was just for you?
yeah, all of it was for me. Just chugging, chugging, chugging. Yeah, so no, It was good. It was really cool, unique experience. And then, so I got there the first day, went there right after the airport. And then the second day, I showed up early around noon so that I could do a tour of all of Fox Sports Studios, including, where they record NFL game day and college game day and basketball, like everything. So that studio called Studio A is amazing. It is huge. It's larger than life. It's everything you expected it would be. But then they also had a smaller studio, which is their digital studio. So that's where, Alexi Lalas records his State of the Union podcast. And, you see Flippin' Bats with Alex Curry. And there's a couple other shows there as well. And so that was really cool just to see. And it's smaller than you would think, but every corner can be used. It's so optimal. And there's these huge cameras that are one of them is worth more than my life for sure. I mean, they've got to be a couple 100,000 each. And you just move them and you're looking at the next set. And you just move it this way and you're looking at the next. I'm like, this is brilliant, genius. So it was just cool kind of seeing a lot of that stuff and being there. The Studio A, the really big studio, actually has a screen on the ground. And so does the other one too. It just wasn't turned on. But the other studio was on and going. FS1 had Speak going live. So we weren't able to go into that studio, but you could kind of see them through the window, like doing their thing. So yeah, it's just a really cool facility, and it's very like old Hollywood. So like you walk down from the building and then you're walking towards the studio, and there's these huge warehouses. And then there's like the old Fox studios from like the 60s, 70s still there. They had a mini New York strip, which is like, it looks like the face of New York buildings where they filmed How I Met Your Mother. They have all kinds of like actual TV shows that go there and film in those warehouses, just different sets and stuff. But of course, the main ones that Fox uses are for their sports. And they're just two giant warehouses that you look at it and it looks like a warehouse, but you walk in and it feels like a high-end corporate building. It doesn't look like a warehouse. It just has really high ceilings. I mean, I was like, hey, can I move in? I'll sleep in that corner of the studio because this is nice. Like, you could lick food off the ground in there. It's so clean and like pretty and just sparkly, and everyone I met was really nice. Nobody was weird or judgy, or we kind of didn't even know if we were going to get to really see Studio A. And so we kind of walked over there, poked our head in, and they said, oh, you can go in, feel free, come on in. So we went in and just kind of puttered around, and it was really cool.
If you follow Katie Goodman on social media, I'm Katie Goodman on Instagram and Twitter. You'll see some video of her quick walk around on the video of everything she's describing there. Let's dive into what apparently a soccer match unfolding yesterday. United States against Vietnam, USA and Vietnam in Group E. And Katie, I know obviously we've seen over the years sometimes the United States in their group stages may come away with a 6-0 and 8-0. And at the same time, we're no stranger to seeing some jitters from different nations early. And you're fortunate just to come away with maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1. United States was able to get on the board early on. Sophia Smith in that 14th minute able to put them out ahead. I know at that point people thought game on, but it started to settle in a little bit. What was your take from the opening minutes of the match leading up to Sophia's goal, and kind of maybe how it stagnated a bit soon after?
Yeah, I think that was a result of the chippiness of the match. I mean, it was really hard for the US ladies to really get their momentum and rhythm. And I mean, everything they would do is a chip at the ankle or step on the foot, and whether it was intentional or not. But I think, for Vietnam, it wasn't a bad idea. Like, that's exactly kind of what you have to do with a team of that caliber. And if you know you're not going to be able to meet them, toe to toe, par to par, you have to do something a little different, and that's stop play. And they did that. And they made things a little complicated. Not only that, but initially, Sophia Smith, her MO is getting to the opposite end line, passing that ball back at the top of the 5 or the 18 for someone to pick off, or taking it in herself. I don't know how many times I've seen her make that shot, right? where she takes it to the left, it looks like her angle's off and it's not, and she goes lower 90, or she goes to the end line and drops it back for someone to pick off, which is what happened with the Lindsey Horan goal. But moving into that, in that first half, you had Trinity Rodman going up to the corner, a driven ball in. And I can't tell you how many times they tried that driven ball in, to the point of where you're like, we got to start chipping it. Like, first off, we're taller than these people, we're more dominant. We're going to win the air ball, like if you're there and in that moment, chip it in and try to figure something out, or chip it in behind the back line. And that's what we saw in the second half. And so they got a little bit more momentum going, I guess. But it's not only that, it's a new team, right? They're young. There's a lot of inexperience. We had that scare with Trinity Rodman right at the beginning with her foot. Just a couple of players going down and make it becoming a really physical match. And, I think too, when you look at it as a player and as a coach, you think, hey, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, right? And you're going up against this team, you're going to win, but it's like, you don't want to be too sure or comfortable. And like, how important is an 8-0 win or a 6-0 win? I think I began to see where they were trying to put forth their best effort, but they were playing in a little more of a relaxed style. It wasn't like a do or die situation for them by any means. And but with that being said, too, there was so many opportunities missed. It could have very easily been a 7-0 game had they just put a proper volley on the end of the shot, or just redirected it a smidge more on the inside. I mean, Rose Lavelle hitting the post, like, there's so many things that had they gone differently, we wouldn't even be batting an eye at this, right? But even then, 3-0 result is pretty good. And I have to say, I was proud of Vietnam for even getting a shot off and into the keeper's hands at the very last couple of minutes there. Good on them for like bringing their all and doing everything they can. It's a blessing for them to even be there, at the World Cup, and to let alone hold a powerhouse like the United States to 3 goals. That's some good stuff. So
yeah, looking back at the official stats, I don't even know if they credited Vietnam with that one shot they produced. Officially, 7-0 was the tally. That was shots on goal in favor of the United States. 28-0 in shots total. A match where the United States had 10 corner kicks, created set piece opportunities. We saw Trinity Rodman earn a penalty with a little bit of help from VAR after the fact. But what is it this year with North American legends unable to convert on penalty kicks? We saw Sinclair struggle with Canada, and then Alex Morgan's denied. At first, when I saw Morgan crumple over after her penalty, I thought she was just extremely disappointed in the miss, but it looked like she was actually then trying to sell another penalty perhaps in the box.
yeah.
Sophia Smith got that brace in stoppage time at the end of the first half. What were your thoughts after those opening 45 plus another 7 or so minutes going into halftime on what you'd expect to see in that second half?
Yeah, excuse me, yawning. Yawning over here because it's been a couple of late nights. But I would say that, it was Trinity Rodman who won the PK. And sometimes I feel like it's better to let the person who won the PK take it. Sometimes it's just a mental thing, and it's hard to just step in and be like, okay, I'll take the PK. And I know Alex Morgan is the best, and you want to go with who's going to be statistically favored, right? But at the end of the day, it's a game, and it's a mental game too. And I know that everyone was warm and doing their thing, but personally, I would have liked to see Trinity Rodman take that. Secondly, like, if they're going to mess up and they're going to have these jitters and weird things, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to not put enough pace on the ball or give enough angle. Like, first off, the keeper did great in guessing which direction she was going to go. So good on the keeper there. Where she went wrong, she didn't put enough pace on the ball. It looked like a mishit, and she just didn't have the right angle on it. I thought she would have reacted a little bit quicker to the second ball. And I thought she was going to get on the end of it and chip it in, but she was just a little bit too calm and slow to react. And then she got clipped, right? And so, yeah, she was trying to sell it, which I thought maybe she was going to get it, because if you look at the replay, it was like, well,
Yeah.
the tackle came from behind, So it's unfortunate for her. And for Christine Sinclair, like, there was just no pace on that ball. I don't know what happened there. But maybe they're tired. Both North American teams, continent teams flying across the world trying to just get adjusted to everything. That could be it too. But as far as, that first half, I think it was a good first half. It wasn't like the best one we've seen from them, but it wasn't bad. They had some, really creative plays. I just think what they did in the second half was better, but they didn't actually have a ton of goals to show for it. I think it was good that they switched it up because in the second half, you saw them chipping it in more. You saw them putting it in behind the line. They found ways to spread the field a little more. It's hard when a team is sitting back and there's so much traffic to get through. That makes things really difficult. And the only way to get through that is to not do the same thing over and over, right? You got to, at some point, something has to click team wide that, hey, we need to like pull this back. We need to slow down play. We need to let them kind of come to us, spread the field, and then try to find the seams, or chip it in and just body them out of the air, which they could have very much done. So yeah, and I think that's what we saw in the second half.
That it was a 2-0 score line well into the second half until the 77th minute. A little bit of a sigh of relief. Lindsey Horan makes it 3-0, and you get a feeling that it was time for the United States to be able to put that one to bed. I want to go back. You mentioned, obviously, a lot of new faces. We mentioned 14 newcomers this year. In the actual starting lineup itself, we saw 6 individuals make their debut in a Women's World Cup for the now back-to-back defending champions. Average age was a little under 28 years old. Youngest Women's World Cup lineup that we've seen since 2007. And so this is a team that we used to see the same names each and every Olympics and Women's World Cup, it felt like. Obviously, after a while, aging out of the Olympics, but at the Women's World Cup. But it kind of a little bit of a changing of the guard. What did you think of when you saw the starting 11 when it came out?
I was happy with it. I really was. I mean, I love seeing Sophia Smith out there alongside Alex Morgan and Trinity Rodman. I think those are 3 powerhouse players up top. Lindsey Horan, she has that really calm, solid presence, always just, has a big smile. Like, there are so many personality types that you need on the field to be successful. And you need the intense person who's going crazy, and then you need the person who's calm and composed and happy-go-lucky, right? And then they've got a little bit of everything out there. And yeah, it's a young team, and then you see players like Pino go out there, right? And she struggled a bit. She hasn't played since I think June 3rd. She's been injured, but what I like to see are when you have players on the team like Crystal Dunn and Sophia Smith. They play in the NWSL together. They're making things happen because they've been playing together that whole season. So you have pockets on the field of players doing really great work, and that's what you saw Rapinoe and Rose Lavelle come in at the same time too. They both play with OL Reign, and they were making a lot of really quality combinations happen, and they just all bring something a little bit different. So it makes sense. I see what he's doing, pulling in certain players at different times, because that those players connect because they have the time under their belt working together, right? But as far as that starting lineup, yeah, no, I was A-okay with it. I liked that Alyssa Thompson got some time in, and she did some work. She created a lot of things and opportunities, and she has that speed and that tenacity, and I'm just happy she's getting minutes, and I think we're going to probably see more from her, especially as the tournament goes on. Injuries happen, people get fatigued and tired, and I think she's one of those players who can step up and offer a lot of minutes, despite being so young. So
Again, Katie Goodman's spending the early portion of the Women's World Cup behind the scenes in LA with Fox Sports before you head out to Australia and New Zealand. Next matchup for the United States women's national team will be against the Netherlands. That's Wednesday. And just to keep it simple, I'm just going to give you one time zone, 8 o'clock Central Time. You can do the math back and forth from there. Katie, you mentioned how everybody there working around the clock in Los Angeles, a little tougher schedule on them than the folks who are maybe recovering from the jet lag actually on the continent of Australia. Of course, a lot of folks don't know how to reference a game. And I basically said, if it happened while you were asleep, that's today. And if you're watching it, that's the future. And so no spoilers if you're watching it live, because that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Can't say no tweeting during games anymore. Can you imagine? people would be up in arms.
So again, the Netherlands are up next for the United States. Portugal also in Group E with them. Where will you be come Wednesday? Will you still be in Los Angeles, or will you be out in Australia?
I will be in Australia and on set, watching that game there in Sydney. So, in fact, as of right now, I don't have any plans to go to a U.S. women's match because the first ones are all in New Zealand. So I will probably most likely make an actual match there in Sydney, from, some other teams. I'm trying to I'm just playing it by ear right now to see what the demands are going to be while I'm there in Sydney, and kind of going from there. I might also, who knows, pop over to New Zealand. It's only a 3-hour flight away, which is funny because I was like in my head thinking, oh, it's maybe a short ferry ride or maybe a 45-minute flight, but it's actually 3 hours from Sydney just to get over there. So, all things to consider. But yeah, so I'm hoping to get pitch side at some point with some of the teams there in Sydney. Also, they're always up for consideration is extending the stay, right? To see what happens after these group stages. But I'm all kind of just playing it by ear at this point to see what happens. So yeah, I'm just pumped to be there and around. I'm planning to do a lot of street interviews as well and some other offshoot content just to give you an idea of the vibe of how things are going there in Sydney and around the match and whatnot. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that too.
Well, you'll have to let us know next time we check in with you if you've made it through your entire time in LA without being sucked into an In-N-Out burger while you're over there, and stay loyal to your Whataburger roots.
I hate to break it to you guys, but I cannot eat chicken or beef. So I am a pescatarian through and through, seafood only. If anything's gonna keep me here, it's gonna be the seafood. But yeah, so no In-N-Out burger or Whataburger for me, except Whataburger fries and their Frosties are amazing. That I can mess with all day. I'm all about it.
Katie, before we let you go, there was one other soccer headline, at least, that I can think of that was unraveling at the exact same time as the women were underway over in New Zealand with their match. And I know with all the monitors at Fox, you had an eye on it as well. Messi made his debut with Inter Miami in the new Leagues Cup between MLS and Liga MX's side. That was Inter Miami and Cruz Azul. Messi was a sub on in the second half. And of course, at the death of that match, a free kick from Messi from the top of the box, and he buries it in the top left 90 for basically a walk-off win for Inter Miami in front of a capacity Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, north of Miami, in front of everybody who's not in Hollywood right now. We know where they are. They're on the opposite coast in the Sunshine State after witnessing something that they'll never forget.
Yeah. You had Kim K, LeBron, Serena Williams. Like, when was the last time you saw that caliber of celebrity at an MLS match, right? So that is a huge game changer. I mean, we all knew Messi was going to be a game changer, but I think for the general public who doesn't really follow soccer, but they know these celebrities and what they're doing, that's the kind of lure it's going to bring to the league, and it's going to change things. But I mean, picture perfect story ending, right? He comes on in the second half wearing the captain band already. And then he puts in he doesn't just score the free kick, he puts in a banger of a free kick, a caliber of a shot that you don't see in the MLS. That kind of, I mean, it's not that you don't see it. You see some good stuff, don't get me wrong, but like, just first opportunity and he does something like that, people are going to be glued to the television set every time he's on the field. And so I'm happy for him. That could be the way the story went for him in that first game, because when he got on in the second half, he had some opportunities. He did his typical Messi dribbling, had 3 or 4 guys that he was drawing towards him, and then getting out of a tight pocket. Like, that's his MO, right? He brings people in, gets out of the tight pockets, opens up things for other people, and then continues making the run, and that's why he's so dangerous. But he was struggling a little bit, and you could see a little bit of frustration. He was still trying to communicate with his teammates of where he wanted them to go. You could see that they were still trying to work some things out. And so, I think it's really important for him that he was able to walk away with the win, for that to feel comfortable and confident going into this league, because it's not just about us and what he's bringing to us. It's about, what we're doing for him. And like, I think, what this league is offering him too. Right. And it's a place where he can end his career, but with success and with that still insane amount of star caliber. Right. And so I think that this was a really good entry into it. And I know they weren't playing another MLS team. They were playing Chivas. Was it Chivas? Cruz
Azul.
Azul. There you go. Sorry, there's a lot happening yesterday. Okay, so many teams.
Yeah.
Cruz Azul, and so I still think it was a great debut for him.
Yeah, a fairy tale ending, and yet it's just the beginning here in Major League Soccer. So we'll close that chapter on the men's World Cup champion with Messi leading Argentina to that title this past winter. And we'll shift the remainder of our focus each time we chat with Katie moving forward on everything unfolding over in Australia and New Zealand. Katie, enjoyed this. We might even catch up before the next women's match, but we'll definitely catch up after the women face the Netherlands in their next upcoming contest. Again, that'll be a Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central Time for those here in the States. Katie, at that point, will be catching up on her sleep and being, I know you'll be excited to be on the ground. If we notice any of those pre-match suits, those pre-match fits that the women have, if one of them goes missing, I think we might know a leading culprit.
Definitely was not.
If you find someone in your size.
Yeah, maybe Alyssa Thompson. She's pretty tiny. Maybe that one could work. But no, those are so fresh. Gosh, I love that. It gives me like Men in Black vibes, but like Women in Black, they're just like so like I'm waiting for the little laser to come out where they like remove everyone's memory, the memory stick. But no, it was cool. It was very fresh. Them and is it Nigeria? They had a really cool walkout too. They have like this like music that they're playing. It's a whole vibe. Everyone's dancing. Like that's the kind of the vibe I like in the locker room. I like to be goofy and crazy and then get out there and take care of business. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, and I'll let you guys know how it goes, and hopefully, maybe get a chance to talk a little bit sooner before I get on that. Well, it's 5 hours to Hawaii and then 15 hours to Australia, and I land 7 p.m. over there on the 25th, and then the game is on the 26th that morning. So it's going to be a short turnaround. I'm going to be a little haggard, dragging, but I'll be there and somewhat alive, and I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Well, on your way back, if your flight out of Hawaii is canceled, that won't be the worst thing. But we hope that everything goes smoothly to get you out there on time for the next round of matches. Katie, enjoyed it. We'll talk to you later this week.
All right, thanks.